Okay, I'll call this meeting, this decennial meeting to order, and yes, if everybody can sign in, if they didn't get a chance to sign in. And we'll start with the roll call, please.
Sure, Supervisor Hewitt,
Here.
Trustee Robinson.
Here.
Trustee Page.
Here.
Trustee McGovern.
Here.
Trustee Dice.
Here. Thank you, and then, pledge of allegiance, please. So, pledge of allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and,
Put on pause.
Were there the two public members for the committee, the decennial committee?
okay,
Oh, I'm sorry.
so. One of them. Yes.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
Who's on the decennial committee? Okay, you are, and you are as well, okay, I'll mark you as that trustee, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so public comment, there's this is where, we sign up to do public comment. And I see a whole lot of signing ups. There wasn't a little section for the public comment. Normally there is. So. Does anybody here want to make a public comment? Paula Eugene Garcia.
Yeah, I just have a question. How do you
Yeah.
get on the committee? That's my question is, I thought that you just showed up on the committee, but you have to be actually on the committee.
Yeah, you're gonna, some people would be appointed, but you're elected official on the DuPage County Board, you're the liaison to the 708 board, so. You, I mean, there's about to be an appointment, but.
Okay,
the-
I guess I'm
that's
just trying to figure out the whole process.
Okay. Any other public comments? Claire Goldenberg.
My name is Claire Goldenberg. I'm a resident of Lyle Township for many years. I was very disappointed at the last meeting. I was attending by Zoom and that the public comment, rules had been changed. And although they were supposedly clearly indicated that they had been changed. Everywhere you listed that there were public comments available, nowhere is it listed that you have to sign up special to make a public comment. So I was extremely disappointed in the way that was handled when public comments had been handled the same way at these meetings for years and years and years. So I just wanted to make that very clear that I felt that changing the way public comments are handled midstream is not very transparent at all. And that if you do want to make a change to public comment, that anywhere you have printed in your materials, like making an announcement that, you know, here is where the link is. If you want to make public comment, you need to sign up special to make public comment is very, very appropriate. That's all that's all I have right now.
Okay, and then online, I don't see any public comment signups. So we're gonna, we finished public comment. The appointment of the new decennial committee meeting, members. Heather Kesmark, Joanne Wright, Jim Marino, Marianne Vasquez, and I have a list that I can give you their colleagues. Claire Goldenberg, Robert Sachs, Sandra Cummings, and David Rooney. They are appointed, and this isn't with it doesn't require the advice or the consent of the board. So just wanted to make sure that you're aware of that. Next, we have discussion about the survey and those who.
I apologize for interrupting, but I held my hand up for making a public comment I should have voiced. And I signed up for it.
So, are you doing, you have to sign up for it?
I
so-
am, I believe, maybe I signed the wrong, I signed up to join the meeting. Maybe I thought I was signing up to make a public comment.
Yep, so I can show screen real quick. But I didn't see anyone that signed up online for the public comment. Yeah,
Can I make a
There's
motion
not-
to allow the people to make a public comment who didn't know, weren't aware of the rules ahead of time? Since we didn't all change them or agree to change them, could we give them that opportunity?
so to be clear, the rules have not been changed. We are working with the rules that were passed in May of 2023. And
And
it,
Supervisor Hewitt, the public commentaries never had to sign up on public comment on the Zoom call. We'd always let them speak. And so I just think that that's a new practice, and I just think it would be polite to have that rule, but for the last 3 years, you've allowed people to speak on the Zoom without signing up.
so we're following the rules and on page 15 of the,
I believe in
For
following the rules,
rules.
but for 3 years, we didn't follow that rule, and so people had an expectation, and all I'm asking is, I'm making a motion to allow that person to speak. Can I get a second?
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second, and then any other discussion? And a roll call vote?
Trustee Geis?
Yes.
Trustee McGovern?
Yes.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes, I just want to make sure that the motion was for this one person to speak, not general for
I
everyone to
don't know
speak.
who's online and who's.
What was
asking.
Joanne? That's what I heard. The motion was for this particular person to speak. So, yes.
Is that what it was? For one person or anybody else?
I apologize. I'll amend my motion to include anyone else who was not aware that they had to sign up to speak. I don't know that it is indicative online that you would sign up if you're on Zoom. It is indicative to sign up for public comment in a form that would be read, but it's not indicated how you would do it if you were on the Zoom call.
So
Clear.
here, and to be clear, on the public comment sheet, it's where it reminds people of the rules and how to sign up. Okay, and I'm a yes, so Joanne, please, give your
Did-
public comment.
Did you say yes?
I did.
Okay,
For that
motion
first
passed.
bit,
Well, first of all, I want to thank you very kindly for that. And I apologize for my not understanding. I signed up for for being here. I didn't realize there was a separate place to sign up. My name is Joanne Wright, and I am a member of the 708 Mental Health Board. And I am also District 68 School Board member. I have lived in Lisle for many years. And I just was, looking through your website, and I saw something that I thought might be an area that we might want to target and look at a little bit further, and that's programming for seniors. Programming, there are some programs for seniors, but I believe there's so many more things that can be considered to add. And I'm just going to list a few of them that come to mind. One would be health services, providing screenings, vaccinations, wellness programs, etc. Assistance with navigation, helping people with their paperwork, helping them contact resources that they're appropriate for. Fitness programming, and educational opportunities like workshops, lectures, classes, etc. And I just wanted to open that for your consideration for expanding the programs for seniors. And I thank you so much for your time, especially under the circumstances.
Thank you. Okay, public comment is finished. Then, and then we can go into discussion about the.
Excuse me, sorry. I would just like for my benefit, the
Trustee
members,
Robertson.
thank you. The members of the Decennial Committee who will be appointed to the committee, could they just identify themselves? Are they here? Yes, thank you. Okay. And Okay, thanks. Just want to make sure.
Did the supervisor have a list of names?
She did.
Okay, may I have a copy of that, please?
I have a list of the new names. but
That's what I would like to
don't-
have.
The
This-
only one remain is Jerry Galloway. Is there anybody else who's on the committee that has been,
There was Jeremiah Stevens, is in, Korea right now, so he cannot come. So there are two
but he's
other,
still on the committee?
yes,
Okay,
he was unable to attend due to being on vacation out of country.
On the trip.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so, discussion about the survey and those who attended the first meeting. So after this meeting, you're going to, everyone who is here will get a survey question. It'll be these same questions, and we'll go from there. But, you know, did you attend? The one result was, the food pantry is operating very well, is well managed and enabled with appropriate technology solutions. The level of volunteer support is commendable. What inefficiencies did we identify and what are the next steps? I would like to further discussion on the discussions on the operations of the transit program with a view to greater communication within the township to expand use of the service. What can we do better, more efficiently across all levels of the township? I would like to see a greater focus on technical capabilities of the employees. This is to be clear, this is not from me. This was from the one respondent.
Can you put it up there as well? So we can see?
It, sorry, I thought it was. Sean. Okay,
While you're pulling that up, this is
there we go.
pretty exactly. Is this a committee that is only appointed or?
The board are members by statute, and then two residents were appointed with the advice and consent, and then any other members are appointed at the discretion of the supervisor. That's state.
Yeah, no, I was just
Yeah,
asking
I
for
know.
clarity on that.
This, these
Wanna make
committees, of
sure
course,
it's not-
are,
Well, I just think anytime we have a committee of any kind, we want it to have a nice, diverse representation. So
It's not
not,
coming up.
party wise. Sorry. You know, just feel like I better clarify that. No, party wise.
oh,
Yeah, sorry, no. Every diversity is not only.
I know, I
I have an affiliation, but I hate both parties.
Okay,
That's-
what can we do more efficient, better,
Like
more
work on-
efficiently across all levels of the township? I would like to see a greater focus on technical capabilities of the employees. This would enable the implementation of additional software services and reduce the level of processes that are still dependent on paper. Any suggestions? Look for opportunities to partner with other levels of government and organizations in delivery of services to township residents. Become the one-stop shop for the Lisle Township residents, even if that means directing the residents to another organization to address the residents' requirements. What would you say, or should our committee's recommendations regarding increased accountability and efficiency? This question requires further discussion within the committee. I feel that the township should identify the services that it can deliver efficiently that do not duplicate comparable services provided by other services within the township. Within the scope of those key services, the township should set performance metrics and report against those metrics. These could be a number of residents that utilize the service, the cost per resident of the delivered service, and the opportunities to expand the service. So please feel free at the end of this to respond to the survey, please. Any other discussion about the survey of those who attended the first meeting? Okay, then moving on to the next agenda item, which is discussion about the draft report. Trustee Robinson?
Just to confirm that this is a pro forma that is going to be consistent with other townships and municipalities, correct?
No, well, yes and no. The township officials of Illinois have a sample that they put on their website,
Okay.
and I took portions of the sample that applied to us and started to fill it in. Every township has to do their own. So this is the first time this has been done by our township. This is a law passed in what, 2022? So that's why the township officials of Illinois give the draft like sample of what that's done.
Thank you. So this will fulfill the requirements of filing using this format, correct?
Yes,
Okay, thank you. That's where I was wanting to get to.
trustee McGovern,
Where do we need to publish this?
it needs to be given to the DuPage County Board. They have a portal that they need to put, that we need to put it in there. So that's, it's not published really, it's given to the board as, I mean, we could put it on our website. That's one of the other things that tends to happen. So,
Thank you.
Claire?
Okay, so I did my homework, as I hoped everybody else would have done before this meeting as well. This is an edict that came down from the governor that, as you may or may not know, Illinois has way too many divisions of government bodies. So rather than try to eliminate them, he's trying to make them more efficient. And that is the job of this committee. To make this government body more efficient and transparent. So he's got a nice little blurb on the website as to what the committee is supposed to do. And our job is to help that along. Okay, and I'm certainly gonna help you do that. I'll be very vocal on this committee. I'm sure that shocks all of you.
Okay, so does any,
Oh, and one more thing, the NIU study that you guys did will be very instrumental as well. And that's why I think you included quite some very pertinent parts of the NIU study, which I also reviewed before the meeting.
right, that's why I put that in the packet to make sure that you all could see where it was. And it's been updated on the website. Any other discussion as to what you would like to see in the draft? Any thoughts of what's in the draft?
I may suggest,
Yes, Attorney
just
Claire.
so as was mentioned by trustee Robinson, this is a good format and sample, and as you mentioned, this is from like the overall template of how it's laid out is from TOI, and it lays it out pretty well and easily, so we can follow and then adjust and add, modify as needed for specifically for the township. What other townships have done is kind of done this type of draft and then had people of the committee take the time to review it and then submit comments and proposed edits, additions, et cetera, to one person who's kind of compiling it all together. And then especially in advance of the third meeting where the final report would theoretically be approved, kind of have that all put together. So it's a good starting point to use this and then use the NIU study and then maybe take the time individually to go through and discuss any questions you have now, of course, but just a good idea, just my suggestion would be to. There's a lot of material and a lot of different things to go through, and so it's often beneficial for everyone to be able to really digest it, but that's how other townships, just a suggestion.
Right, thank you. So we're in our draft phase. We really need some input before we get further along. And we need some people wanting to take more of a role in having some, again, more input here, so. looking for,
I have a question. Are there only
Mary
three
Ann?
meetings total to complete this?
There's a minimum of 3 meetings.
A minimum of 3 meetings? I'm just wondering, since I come in with the second.
there could be more if it was needed. So if the final report isn't ready to be done, or we still have edits by the third meeting, then we could add an additional meeting, but it is due in November, so.
Oh.
We have this meeting and the next meeting, which is right before the August meeting. So we put in there the budget where we're at. We're looking to finish the audit hopefully in the next month. We like to think, there's a whole lot of catching up to do, from an accounting perspective. In the audit, so it's taken longer than anticipated. Trustee Robinson?
This is probably a question more for the attorney. It feels to me like there should be subgroups working on this. Is that within the scope of how these can be configured, or does it have to be the full board?
The committee can do
Whatever.
whatever. it wants.
With
With that, there is no, it's extremely vague and without much definition, and has never been done before.
Can I answer that question?
Yeah.
Does the entire committee need to be informed when there's committee meetings, or can they break out and do their own thing?
As long, if there's a majority of a quorum, still the Open Meetings Act still applies. So you would all want notice, but individual members can, of course, meet together and then.
Thank you.
So what would be considered quorum with this number of people?
Trustee McDonald, or trustee Geis?
It depends on how many were just added. I don't know.
1, 2, 3, 6, 7, and then 8, 9, but then we have 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Yeah, so it's,
Or is the
quorum is,
supervisor
no, she's, so,
a member, so 14.
so it's 14.
Mhm.
So the quorum is what, 7? Or, and then. So majority is that, so. You can meet with 3 people offline without notice the meeting. You have to be careful with the members of the township board.
Yeah.
Separately, because if you're gonna be talking about this, it probably also qualifies as township business. And so. You can't go more than 2. It's if there's, you can meet with members of, public members of the committee, more than 2, but township board members, I think more than 2 gets sticky because you're necessarily talking, it's very complicated, Open Meetings Act, wanting to make sure we're compliant.
Mary Ann?
Yes,
So if we were to break this down into services, we'll say senior services, transportation and so forth. It would require us to have 7 people. But no,
You couldn't have 7. You
You
couldn't
could not.
have more than 3.
you couldn't have more than 3 out of 14.
Yes.
Yeah. because it's a majority of a quorum.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I know. You could do it, you just have to post a notice and an agenda and. Yeah, it's technically schedule a meeting. Yes,
And it couldn't be more than 2 board members because of our,
well, if you have a notice in the agenda, you could. do
Right.
that.
so if we're going down the list of things in Mary Ann.
Sorry, not a question, because you know I often bring these things up. How do, email threads where we're communicating with each other? No.
Do not reply all.
Do not reply. all.
Never.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, do not, never. You can be emailed out, so one person can email to the entire committee. You cannot reply all back.
Thank you. Okay. Yes. I get it, I know how to do that.
So from the draft perspective, one of the pieces that we're needing to do is make sure that this had been brought up by the clerk, previously. I asked for some of the copies of any intergovernmental agreements that we had. And Clerk Paulette said that she didn't have, any of the previous ones. These are not from our time, these are from other times. Like the city of Naperville, right, we have a agreement with them, that we only have the last page. And so we can then, track that down through the city of Naperville, is the other option if you don't have it. I don't have it, so, that in particular would be one to get. Is there any other intergovernmental agreements that, we would like to track down? I just have the ones that. we have.
Well, the park all of the park districts, the libraries, I think that one of the biggest challenges is senior services comes up again and again, but we're forgetting how many services these other programs are offering. And it does clearly state don't want to duplicate effort, we want to expand, we don't want to duplicate. We want to look at what counties doing a lot too, so I want to be cognizant of when we say we don't have this, we don't have that. But we do have it at our disposal. So, and I think when we had the NIU study, I thought we learned from that study that we were doing a pretty good job, so. If that's gonna be a big part of this, I'm glad, because we learned that we weren't operating with all the deficits that we expected people to comment on.
Okay, so for intergovernmental agreements, I don't know that we had or signed them with some of the other entities that you just listed. I know we have one with the county in particular. I don't know where that exists. Meaning I don't know, I don't believe that we've signed one. I mean, we have one with, for example, with LIHEAP. And I think that happens every year. But that's the main one that we really work with. We do have the LIHEAP, so that's the LIHEAP one where we do have, but I don't know that we have any others existing. Yeah, Sherry?
Which raises a question in my mind as to whether these intergovernmental agreements continue in perpetuity or if they have an expiration.
They usually have an expiration.
But you do have one with partners, you were just at the meeting, that's an intergovernmental meeting, and you have agreement throughout all the taxing bodies. So,
I don't have a copy of that.
right,
So.
no, I understand that, but you're asking where else might we have one? You have one in Lyle too.
Okay, so it would be
Sure.
really helpful to get a copy of that, Clerk Paulette, so I'll make that.
I don't have the copies, if they're in a box and sent someplace. If you remember, I was in this office and you had not you, but the office had most of the copies of everything that was stored here. So unless it was given to me, I don't have it.
Okay, and I don't have it
Okay.
in my office or
So maybe
anything,
you
so
can go back to the entities.
I will.
and
I will.
Get
So-
that.
Exactly, so the Village of Lyle, intergovernmental, and I'll see what other things that exist with the county. Aside from the LIHEAP, I'm sure that one, we do have. Any other list of intergovernmentals in the city of Naperville? I know we have one. Claire?
Trustee guys refer to the senior services that are available to our residents through these intergovernmental agreements. What are these? So I can have my mom go to Denver Grove and just go to their senior services facility?
I don't believe that exists.
Actually, what I
So
said,
trustee guys,
well, I'm assuming you wanted me to respond. right? Or did
Well, I
you want Diane
wanted
to?
some clarification, and
mean-
if that does exist, then we need to find the intergovernmental agreements.
I don't know that, I think the intergovernmental agreements will be helpful, but I don't think that, I don't have a full list of all the services. But I know that we have offerings at the Park District. I know we have offerings at the county level. So your mother who lives in Downers Grove, I think that she would start with her township office and find out what resources are available
She
there.
lives in Lyle Township.
Oh, I thought I'm sorry, I thought you said Downers Grove.
No, I'm saying, because we don't offer them here, I can send her to Downers Grove Township.
No, you would have her come here.
Send her to Naperville. There's a lot of free programs that you can live anywhere. I don't know if that is something to the level that it would end up on our sheet, but it is something that we can tell people.
Yeah.
Yeah, the township.
So
Well,
can we
yes, we're-
raise our hands for,
So if
for
we're looking
speaking.
at trying to provide efficiencies and transparencies through this program, then we need to be able to be clear and correct when we are sending our residents somewhere that they are allowed to go and participate.
So yes, we need to gather those documents because I don't believe that it would be extremely helpful to have the clarity that you're asking for. Trustee Geis?
I agree with you 100% that we want to give people accurate information. But again, I would say that if your mother does live here in Lyle Township, she would begin that conversation with Michelle, in general assistance. Michelle has all of the resources at her disposal. She's been working with the seniors.
Well, I don't really need it for my mother, I'm just using that.
I'm giving it as an example where
Okay.
someone would start, you know, I'm speaking to where someone would start. And that's what's wonderful about the township is if we don't have the resource, we have the information to direct you to the proper resource. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, finish. No, I'm just,
Paula.
make sure, no. I don't know, this is speaking in generalities about senior services, but you obviously can call 211 at the county. And 211 will give you to somebody and they will tell you all the services that are available in the county. Senior services, live heat, with everything else, they will give you the information. And I'm a big fan of the Lyle Park District. They have shipped people there. I'm turning, I'm gonna turn 65 this year.
Yeah.
So I'm already meeting with them, I know, right? And so, you know, they have great services there for seniors
Debbie
too.
does a great job.
Does a great job, so.
I would definitely refer.
So, but definitely 211, if you get the information out about 211, tell everybody that's what you call, and get to come.
Thank you.
So, Clerk Polowitz?
There's also one senior service that we don't talk about that we do so well here. If you spend any time at the assessor's office, the seniors are coming in all day long and the staff is helping them get their senior discounts, get their senior freeze discounts and so on. And it just helps them with the paperwork, helps them, navigate through a very anxiety-filled process. And I think that's a huge help to our seniors that we're helping them save money so they can stay within their homes.
Absolutely. Thank you for my.
Okay, so that was intergovernmental agreements. Any other conversations on that? And so from a programming perspective, listing 211 page is one of the best resources that is available through the county to let people know where to go for various resources. Very important. It aggregates all the information. Jerry?
I don't know if this is the appropriate venue, but my understanding is that, if the road district were consolidated in with the, township, there'd be a considerable cost savings, like 20 to 40%, I believe. That's my understanding. Like I said, I'm not sure if this is the appropriate venue. And I don't know what a timeline would be to do something like that.
This is an appropriate venue and so the township next door to us, Naperville Township, does not have a high road district. Bloomingdale Township does not have a road district. A lot of the more developed townships don't have road districts. So that's one of the that's one of the reasons why, is because of the duplication of services and staffing.
Can I ask a question on how they were able to get rid of the road district? Was that through a referendum?
Yes,
So they had to do a referendum?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Can you,
Trustee Page?
you cited those two townships. How do their road districts compare to our road district, which is a little, like a lot of bit different, because our road district actually has three very large subdivisions that have sidewalks, sewers, much different than subdivisions that have just culverts and no sewers and anything to do, no sidewalks to deal with. So I'd like to know how our township compares to those that you just cited.
And 60 miles of roads in our.
It does not have 60 miles of roads. It has 50 miles of roads and less every day, because a lot of, every day I get, or every other day, there's some consolidation into the incorporated areas of Naperville. It's a growing community. So I'm not right now discussing this. We're years away from getting that, I would assume, as a referendum. I haven't heard the rumblings of that. There's two ways a referendum can happen. It can either be led by petition, or it could be put on the township board. So you all we're not, looking to pass any referendum right now. But there's a whole lot of commonalities with Naperville Township and Lyle Township, which is why Naperville Township for some time had Lyle Township do their roads. And then when they realized that they could do it cheaper and at a better cost and service, they decided to do their own. They were in a referenda with us, it was Lyle Township in 2017. They had 3 different referendas in their township and it passed. So.
And then what happened? Keep going with that, because there's a story after that, because when they
Clerk
found out how much it really actually would cost them more than what they're paying now, they've stopped doing it. The referendum passed, but they didn't move forward with it because it ended up not being to the benefit.
There is right now no highway commissioner. Right now, the supervisor of Naperville Township is also the highway commissioner.
So
So
there is a highway commissioner that.
you're sorry, he serves the purpose of the highway, or how does it technically go?
The board, the entire township board approves things for the road department. It's a road department. It's not its own district, but they maintain taxing authority. It's just lower. I think the tax went down. That's it. And it's not, I don't know if it's an apples to apples comparison. That's that's something that the committee study and look into, but it's how they've implemented it. It's not the same as what it was in any way, shape, or form, but it's not totally different, but it is, the board has direct control over road operations.
So like right now here, we don't have any control over road
That's the big
operations,
difference.
and there's no oversight. There is total oversight in Naperville.
Not just advocating, that's what they.
Trustee Robinson?
So can I just make a suggestion? I mean, we've got some very clever people in this room who have come, I'm sorry, don't deny it. Who have come up with some ideas about areas you might want to focus on. And I see here in the agenda, it was efficiencies and increased accountability, finances and services. The group, can we decide, do we want to assign groups to focus on areas and then bring it back to the group? I mean, that's what I'm thinking, because 14 of us here, or some subset of 14, are not going to get very far as a group. Unless you guys have more confidence in group dynamics than I've ever experienced before.
Well, I think the challenge is But
Trustee Geist.
sorry, it's so hard to have a discussion like this. I'm so sorry. Okay, I think the challenge is if you haven't served on multiple boards and had that experience, yes, I would agree with you. It's probably a little harder. But I think if we just create some structure to it and keep it organized, I think we'll be more efficient with time.
So we do have the structure of this document, and
first
if we
meeting.
want to,
Handle.
again, say that, okay, if people want to take this next month, offer any suggestions that you want, and then we can keep iterating this draft so that the next time we meet, that it will be it will have whatever suggestions that you all wish to implement or to add to the draft. That's one way to do it. There's a limit of 3 people that can meet or even have an email conversation going through. So that's one of the pieces that we have to be aware of, but we can keep sending information to either the township administrator or myself, and we can keep expanding this document so that we can be happy with something next month. Trustee Geist?
I think that's still kind of a little convoluted, though. I still feel like we need, when I was saying structure, I didn't say that this wasn't a structured document. This is very well done. What I was saying is maybe we look at this and say, kind of like, Marianne, I'm so sorry. I'm recovering from a concussion, so, okay, Marianne, sorry, yeah, okay. Kind of likening to what she was saying, with maybe we look at the different areas and maybe people kind of raise their hand and say, okay, I'm willing to work on this area. Because if you have everyone meeting in 2 and 3 groups and everyone's addressing every single area, when we come back together next month, it would be nice if we had recommendations that were kind of clear in an area versus 14 people having input on every area. Does that make sense? And I'm not even sure what that would look like, but
Yes, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't disagree with you. I agreed with you. I did agree with you, but we still didn't come up with a plan. I'm speaking to not what you said, Trustee Robinson. I'm speaking to what Supervisor Hewlett said about everybody just coming back together. We still need a plan of how we're dividing it up. And I did agree on structure with you. I did. So I think we should make a decision while we're sitting here of what that might look like. So that when we come, those people can have those meetings, and when we come back next month, we have some really strong recommendations. So how would you recommend we possibly look at that?
Could I ask a question?
Trustee
Sorry.
Robinson,
Clerk, one ask you a question.
Clerk Collins.
Just to be clear, when you're asking if other people want to add anything, are you suggesting that there's other questions to be asked? Because I think there's enough work right now that we should start attacking some of these questions and get some answers filled in. And then if we want to expand on it, we can expand on it. But, if this is due in November, that maybe let's start filling in some of these blanks.
Which is what I'm trying to do.
Okay,
give
and
people
that's-
the help and sign up. to
That's
do.
great,
Thank
because
you.
I heard you say if you have any other idea, so I took that as asking more,
Right.
putting more into this
Right.
paper.
I was
So-
just trying to do it.
Okay, so we have the structure and it's not defined as the only structure that we can have. I'm trying to make it open for people to have, input and what have you not. It cannot be one of those things where, for example, a lot of times people save their questions or their input until the day of the meeting. That's not going to be very helpful. We need to, again, keep working on this draft so that it can keep getting other people's input. I mean, I don't expect that group of 3 is going to only be the only voices in one of these topics, but any which way, Trustee Robinson,
Sorry, no, please.
Trustee McGovern,
I'm just looking at the short-term goals, and some that have been identified as needing improvement. Are the volunteer programs, the food pantry. And how works with the Friends for Lao recycling. Could we start with those as committees or? How
That's
many
a good idea
committees?
to focus on the high
I would
priorities.
just, yeah, I don't know where else to look other than these are our goals right here. Can we overview this and find how many
To be
categories? 4 or 5? It's on this orange sheet, these long-term
Back of
goals
the
and
packet,
short-term
short-term,
goals.
long-term.
What can we do better?
It's
Should be in the
after
very
all
good.
the packets, after the, Springfield.
Some, for those that maybe fall under the 1.87.
So another idea, can I make another
Trustee Guy?
suggestion? Instead of saying this group works on this area, this group, what if you formed 3 groups or 5 groups, you have 3 people, right? And they all look at the goals and come up with a response together, each group, to all of those short-term goals, and then we bring all of those to the next meeting. That way, everyone's having input on everything, but we're still getting a consolidated response. Does that make sense? So, and maybe each of the trustees sits with one of the groups. You look, is that not clear?
That way you avoid OMA,
Right,
um,
right, but then everybody on the committee gets input on all of the goals. And not just one group works on this or one group, because I think what you just said made sense. Everyone should have input. So if we break this out into 5 groups that meet, one trustee with each group, and you, because that would include you. And then those groups meet and go over everything and come up with a consolidated response and bring that to the next meeting. So all 5 groups would present their consolidated recommendations. Would that be an idea?
Okay, by the next meeting, we need to actually have gone through a few drafts by that time. So it's likely that that really wouldn't entirely work because we need to be at the almost finished draft phase by the next meeting in an ideal world. So
Or would
how that would work is if, what I would suggest is by having some due dates, that everybody here start to like figure out, or, I mean, essentially something along those lines, but we need to get closer to the end and have actually more pieces in here so that we can agree to something at the next meeting.
Okay, I'll
Or
add
not.
to it then. So those 5 groups meet within 2 weeks and give you a response so that you have those to add to edit, so that when we come in August, it has the edits.
Sure, that's one way of doing it. There's a
Sorry.
variety of ways.
Sorry.
Yes, Marianne?
Okay, so you are the total transcriber. What about the, clerk, clerk doesn't transcribe, you transcribe?
It's not a transcribing, it's
But
creating
it is if you're creating the.
it doesn't
document.
have to be me, it could be the township administrator, it could be someone else.
Okay.
It's not required to be from me personally, it has to come from our office. So, I tend to make most of the documents.
Yeah, I was just wishing clarity on who the actual transcriber is of this. Is it the township administrator? In my mind, I was making the assumption due to the title that it was the clerk.
Can we ask? the township administrator?
I don't know.
He also has his hands full of a lot of things and he's part-time, so, there's that aspect, but would you like to, Jim?
Well, I guess, what do you mean when you say transcribing?
Well,
Someone edited it,
yeah,
puts it together.
Okay.
someone works our.
Yes,
Filing.
filing the
organizing
information
it.
and organizing.
Final document.
Right,
Yes.
yeah, that's certainly something I could do.
Could Michelle Porter take?
Oh,
on?
she could assist, right.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it'd be a dual responsibility.
So
So
does
it'd be a
that
matter
idea make sense to everyone? If we split it up in 5s, we met within the next 2 weeks, put our recommendations together, somebody summates, sends it to you and shares it, you share it with Diane, and then it goes into the document. And then when we come in August, we have like a pretty good draft, final draft. If that doesn't make sense, someone say something, because I see faces going like, I'm like, I think it makes sense.
Clerk Polowitz.
Would it be, interfere with OMA if you had a Google sheet? The Google
I
Doc?
was thinking that too, we're just having like this as a Google document, and I think probably would, because if you're all. It's iffy, because if you're contemporaneously able to all edit together and see comments and basically communicate, it becomes an issue. So that would be super efficient, right? That would be really nice, but I don't think.
Unless you do, you're
So
dividing.
it has to be something where we just keep sending out a draft of where we're at and share that information.
Or
Actually, then
I
move
think I
the
know you're-
Google to the next group if we're doing by groups. So then they could work on it and then move it to the next.
if you did it in a way that you said, like, one group has access for this time,
Right.
then not, if that,
Yeah.
you could make it.
That's kind of hard. To do.
The other idea worked.
Trustee Robinson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have to subdivide. I agree. The way I would approach, well, my thought. Do we have one group that focuses on efficiencies? One group that focuses on accountabilities across all of the areas? One group focuses on finances, the other group focuses on services. And we then pull it together. Maybe there's a fifth person who's responsible for consolidating it all.
That's who that is. Sorry, I'm interrupting.
No, it's fine. So that was, I think we have to subdivide. And I think we can use everything that's here. I think I love your idea about the goals, short term and long term, focusing them in, and what's the impact of these goals on services? What's the impact on finances? And maybe by focusing it that way. I don't know, it's just a thought.
Okay, so why don't we divide up into these 5 groups, and go from there, and if they want to, if we need to hammer out the different labels of what they are, then we can go from there, but to some extent, we're also brushing up on our township meeting. So
Okay, so.
there's that.
How do you wanna do it?
Trustee, Rice, did you have another question or discussion point?
So how do you wanna segment it?
So it would be helpful if the trustees were not, more than 3 trustees were not on the same board, or the same group.
We thought we
So we
would,
did
well, there's 5
each
of us, so we can get
trustee
5
and
different
it's-
groups.
Okay, so,
That's what I thought.
I thought I said that.
okay, so
5 groups.
if we want to pass around a sheet and have people sign up, and then we can just go through and decide, 1, 2, 3, or to some extent, or figure out the grouping here. Clerk Politz,
Could we just break it up by question? Would that be more efficient? So then we've got all the answers to one, and then we get all the answers. It's about inefficiencies, and then it's about what we're doing effectively or efficiently, and what have we done? Just kind of go through those questions.
I think that's gonna be very problematic when you have people that want to have input on various,
Yeah.
But they're gonna
areas.
switch it, so
it wouldn't.
Are you
fit it.
saying that each group would answer all the questions?
That's what I'm
that?
saying, is that
No,
each
is that what
group
you're
would have an input of what they wanted to have. And so each threesome would answer whichever groupings of pieces that they felt like they could be involved with.
I
And
think
that way we
need to
could
give
come
each
together.
group the opportunity to answer all the questions. How are you gonna get a real diverse perspective and response if you don't?
That's what I'm saying, trustee guys.
Well, you're agreeing.
So thank you for agreeing with me. Okay, then, if we then
I didn't.
go through here and we add all the different people that are on the committee. And then we can have them grouped with a particular trustee, that would be helpful. So actually, I can just go through
Can
and,
you just write the
No.
trustees' names down and yourself, and then have people sign up underneath? If nobody signs up underneath me, it'll hurt my heart. I'm just gonna tell you. I
okay,
never,
so afterwards, we can send out an email with the different groups, and it can be done that way. As opposed to people just deciding who was with which, because then I'm sure that there'd be a lot of people that may not wish to be with certain people. Okay, then. Moving on, So that's does anybody have any other questions or anything else that they want to discuss for this decennial committee meeting?
But we still have 5 minutes.
Claire.
Well, yeah, just going through your list here. A lot of these things you have already pretty much accomplished, but you have a policy on public comment, so we don't really need to do anything on that. You already have a designation of a FOIA officer, so we don't really need to do anything. Should we go through this list and just kind of like cross off the things that we don't really need to address?
Some people may have some suggestions as to how they would prefer it to be handled or what have you not. So this is partially, again, that came from the Township Officials of Illinois' skeleton piece that they want to make sure that people had. So,
Well,
And-
yes, I would imagine that not all townships even had these basic items in place. So we're ahead of the game, I would assume, for, over some townships. Okay.
okay, any other discussion about the decennial committee? Does anybody want to make a motion to adjourn the committee?
Well, do we have a plan?
Yes, what the plan is that everybody is going to have a list of people that will be divided up. So it'll be a little bit on the random side as to each township trustee who gets each of the different people that we have. We have some odd numbers.
How are we gonna communicate with that?
So there's going to be an email that goes out that describes the different groups and gives you the contact information of the different people on that group.
When
So
you
that does
define-
not violate OMA.
Okay, can you please, just for me, because we still have 3 minutes, can you define what the different areas are you're planning on, just because, so we all leave here with the same understanding, because I don't want to read the email and go, oh, wait, no, that's not what I understood. So when you divide it up, will everyone have will each group have all of the questions?
Yes,
Okay.
that way people can have the input that they wish to
Thank you.
have on the topics that they wish to have.
Perfect.
I'm
Mariana.
sorry, I think of so many questions. I just want to be clear before I leave. So each one of the trustees will have an aspect that they are working, that they are focusing on. Now, or
No.
is it just we're broken down that way?
Yeah.
Unless they wish to have, unless they're saying they start to give, what's gonna happen is in a few weeks, whenever we start to get the input that is coming, if that person wants to take a particular interest, then they're likely to then put more input on that.
Okay, I get it.
So then it's gonna be clear, oh geez, there's a whole lot of input on the topic of X, Y, Z, that's helpful. Somebody else may realize that there's a hole in the ZYX, and so then it's gonna be clear where we're at. I think, so you're gonna continuously get an email as to where the draft, this draft document is at. Does that make sense?
Comprehend the first. Got it.
And there's 8 short-term goals, there's 8 long-term goals. And seems to me that the group should look at some of both.
We're gonna look at all of them.
We're gonna look it up.
Yeah, with various priorities.
Yeah, you got it.
Does anyone want to make a motion to adjourn? Thank you, trustee Rice. Thank you, trustee Page. Any discussion? All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Okay, now I'm gonna switch Zooms for anyone that is.